All right, I think we should get started anyway. And again, we'll record this and we'll make it available on the Public Works page, and I'm sure the mayor will put it on his page and make sure it's available to the public. And as we said earlier, Lorraine, the information on who to contact is in the presentation. So with that, I'm going to open the meeting, our public information meeting about the sidewalk project on Route 7 in Aspetuck Avenue. It's for pedestrian improvements. I'm Jack Healy. I'm the Public Works Director, and I'm hosting this tonight. My whole role is probably just to admit and make sure that we keep people unmuted. Anyway, we want to open the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, so we'll start with that. Mayor, thank you. You have a flag behind you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As far as the introduction, the rules for tonight is that the presentation will be made by Beta Group, and they will make the presentation and will followed by any questions by participants at the end of the presentation. And I'd like to open first by allowing the mayor to make some comments.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you for hosting our DPW team, Beta, and everyone involved in this process. It's been a lengthy process, and I appreciate Beta tonight coming in and allowing our public to participate tonight, and also as we are recording this for our public at their leisure to take a look. You'll see at the end of the deck, if you have any questions or comments, you can direct them to Lorraine at the DPW team, as we definitely would like your input as we work on this project. So Jack, thank you very much for hosting this, and thank you, Beta, for giving this presentation. Thank you.
So at this point in our information session tonight, I'd like to turn the program over to Beta. We have 3 representatives of Beta on the Zoom meeting tonight, and I'm going to just take a moment to read some information about each one, so you know who's doing the work for us. The first one is Najib Habish. He's a senior vice president in charge of Beta's Hartford, Connecticut location. In this capacity, he is responsible for cultivating and coordinating the office's activities using his exceptional leadership, management, and marketing skills. The second person, and the person who is co-hosting this tonight and doing the presentation of the slides, is Joe Reimiller. He's a registered professional engineer, a professional traffic operations engineer, and he's lead accredited professional with 18 years of experience in transportation engineering. He has successfully managed similar improvement projects for the cities of Hartford and Waterbury, as well as the towns of Stonington and Greenwich. He has been involved with all phases of sidewalk improvements, including planning, design, and construction, inspection, and administration. He is also a former president of the Connecticut chapter of the Institute of Transportation Engineers. And the third member from Beta is Jay Bertoli, who has many years of experience in both the public and private sectors. He is thoroughly familiar with all aspects of civil, site, roadwork, and highway engineering, construction with the emphasis on project management. Mr. Bertoli was in charge of Hartford's infrastructure pavement management system for many years, and has also been responsible for the complete design of more than a dozen Connecticut Department of Transportation projects, specializing in state and municipal, arterial, and local road design and pavement management rehabilitation methods. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Joe Reimiller, and he will make his presentation.
All right, thank you, Jack, and thank you all for participating in this evening's meeting, kicking off the Route 7 and Aspetuck Ave Pedestrian Improvement Project. In this presentation, we'll be discussing general benefits of installing sidewalks, reviewing the project area and some of the key project elements, discussing why these particular sites were selected for new sidewalks, reviewing funding and estimated project costs, discussing the project schedule, and finally answering any questions that you may have. Several studies have attempted to quantify the safety benefits of sidewalks. The University of North Carolina Highway Safety Research Center performed a study that found that roadways with sidewalks are 88% less likely to experience pedestrian crashes. Another study undertaken by the Federal Highway Administration found that residential areas with no sidewalks have only 3% of overall pedestrian traffic, yet they experience 23% of the nation's pedestrian collisions. And finally, a project presented at the 24th International Cooperation on Theories and Concepts in Traffic Safety described a 1.62 times greater chance of a pedestrian fatality occurring in the roadway as compared to other locations like sidewalks or shoulders. In addition to improving safety, sidewalks can benefit a community in several other ways. They can improve public health by encouraging walking, running, and other activities. They reduce reliance on automobiles, which can reduce vehicle emissions and promote better air quality. And they provide accessible paths of travel for users in wheelchairs or with other disabilities. This project will involve the installation of sidewalks along several sections of Route 7, Danbury Road. The first section begins on the north side of Candlewood Lake Road South. Sidewalk will be installed on the west side of the roadway, beginning in front of the Candlewood Lake condos, and it'll continue northwards towards the high school. The sidewalk will be 5 feet wide, concrete, and ADA compliant ramps will be installed at crossings. And in addition to the sidewalk installation, we'll be repainting the southbound travel lanes to be 11 feet wide, which allows the shoulder to be widened slightly. That sidewalk will continue north past the high school and Larson Road all the way up to Sullivan Road. Crosswalks will be painted at the entrance to the high school, across Route 7 at Larson Road, and across Sullivan Road. A short retaining wall, only about a 3-foot maximum height, will be needed to the south of Larson Road because there's a steep grade and limited right-of-way. And a pedestrian bridge will be installed over the existing stream south of Sullivan Road. The new sidewalk will continue to the north side of Sullivan Road, where it'll connect to the existing sidewalk in front of the Savings Bank of Danbury. And we're also anticipating installing new pedestrian push buttons in more accessible locations at the signalized intersection. Our next location is further north up Route 7 on the east side of Danbury Road, next to the John Pettibone Community Center. The property will be regraded to accommodate the sidewalk installation. And the sidewalk will wrap around Route 7 onto the south side of Pickett District Road, where it will connect to the existing sidewalk that leads to the entrance to the community center. And crosswalks will also be painted at the intersection of Route 7 and Pickett District Road. Next, we have a shorter section of sidewalk in front of 177 Danbury Road. That's the Taco Bell, where there's a short gap in the existing network. So approximately 100 feet of new sidewalk will be installed, connecting the sidewalks to the north and the south of the property. And our final location is on Aspetuck Avenue. The sidewalk will be installed on the west side of Aspetuck Avenue, starting where the existing sidewalk ends in front of St. Peter's Masonic Temple, and it'll continue northwards to Canterbury School, where it'll also connect to existing sidewalk. Here's a street level rendering that shows the approximate location of that proposed sidewalk. This is down at the south end of Aspetuck Avenue. So as far as why we selected these sites, land use played an important role. One of the major reasons why these sites were selected was because much of the project area is located on town properties. New sidewalks on private properties on Danbury Road can sometimes be financed by developers, since the town zoning commission requires sidewalk construction as a condition of approval for site plan applications. The town-owned properties also offer more flexibility in terms of any potential right-of-way acquisitions. Constructing sidewalks at town properties also means that snow removal will be performed by either town or school staff, so there's less of a maintenance burden on property owners. Another nice thing about the land use on these sites is that we're providing safer walking areas for younger pedestrians who might be walking to New Milford High School, the Canterbury School, or the community center. And in some instances, the sidewalks will also provide a direct connection to higher density housing, such as the condos south of the high school. Another reason for installing sidewalks at these particular locations is the high traffic volumes and high speeds on Danbury Road. This data comes from traffic counts performed by the DOT. This gives the average annual daily traffic, or AADT, which represents the daily traffic on a typical day of the year. Within the project area, the AADT on Danbury Road ranges between 25,100 and 30,900 vehicles per day. We also have the 85th percentile speed shown. That's the speed that is typically used for planning and engineering applications. It represents the speed at or below which 85% of drivers travel during free flow conditions. And at the locations counted within the project area, the 85th percentile speed varies between 41 and 65 miles per hour. That exceeds the posted speed limit, which ranges between 40 and 45 miles per hour. So with these higher volumes and speeds, it can be uncomfortable for pedestrians to travel on the roadway shoulder or on uneven vegetated land adjacent to the roadway. Another factor we considered was roadway classification. The Connecticut DOT classifies all roadways according to their intended use and location. Danbury Road is classified as a principal urban arterial, meaning it's located in an urban area and its primary function is to deliver traffic from collector roads to freeways or expressways. The American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials, Rd.to, recommends that sidewalks should be provided on urban arterials wherever frontage is developed. Aspetuck Avenue is classified as an urban local road, meaning its main function is to provide access to collector roads and residential areas. And although Rd.to offers no specific recommendations for urban local roads, they do suggest that moderate levels of pedestrian activity on these roads warrant a sidewalk. We also examined all of the pedestrian crashes that occurred in town within the past 3 years. After eliminating the crashes that occurred in parking lots, there were a total of 17 crashes, and 2 of these occurred within the project area: a fatal crash at the intersection of Route 7 and Pickett District Road, as well as another crash on Route 7 just to the south of the high school. Some of the other crashes shown here took place in areas where there are already sidewalks provided, and others involved a pedestrian crossing the roadway rather than walking along it. So a sidewalk may not have necessarily prevented these. Another factor was connectivity. Where there were gaps in the existing sidewalk network, we wanted to fill the gaps and create a more complete grid. Aspetuck Avenue and the Taco Bell location are good examples of this. On Aspetuck Avenue, filling the gap allows us to connect the Canterbury School to several miles of connected sidewalk to the south. And at Taco Bell, by adding only about 100 feet of sidewalk, we create a nearly half a mile long continuous segment of sidewalk along the east side of Route 7. Our next reason was better transit access. There's several HART bus stops located within the project area. Access to transit creates connections to jobs, it facilitates independence, and it can improve quality of life. The proposed sidewalks will provide better access to HART bus stops at Candlewood Lake Road South, at New Milford High School, and also south of Sullivan Road. There will also be better access to an additional bus stop located right in front of the community center. And another one just south of the Taco Bell location. So the proposed sidewalks will enhance accessibility for those with disabilities. Disabled users will have better access to schools, the community center, a number of retail establishments, employment opportunities, as well as bus service. Currently, a user in a wheelchair would have to travel along the edge of the roadway in areas and would be forced to use a portion of the travel lane since the shoulders are very narrow. But the new sidewalks will be built in accordance with the Public Right-of-Way Accessibility Guidelines, or PROAG. These are the latest standards from the US Access Board. The sidewalks will have a continuous 5-foot clear path. Ramps will have appropriate slopes and detectable warning panels. And bus stops will have appropriately sized boarding areas. The sidewalks are being proposed in locations where street lighting is limited. The Danbury Road locations lack street lighting altogether, and there's minimal lighting provided on Aspetuck Avenue. So that can make walking along at the edge of the roadway more of a safety concern at night. So although the project doesn't involve adding lighting, we'll be giving pedestrians a better alternative to walking on the road at night. Now the project is funded through the Federal Highway Administration's Transportation Alternatives Program. The program funds small-scale transportation projects such as bike and pedestrian facilities, recreational trails, and safe routes to school projects. The program covers the costs of design, construction, and any right-of-way acquisitions. There's an 80-20 federal-local split, with the federal government covering 80% of project costs and the town covering the remaining 20%. Because this is a reimbursable program, the town must first incur project expenses and then request reimbursement. Based on the conceptual design, the project cost, including design, construction, and right-of-way activities, is estimated at about $2.3 million. The cost includes approximately 7,000 total linear feet of new sidewalk, the ramps, signal improvements, new pavement markings, and also the pedestrian bridge. So the town would be reimbursed for 80% of this cost, which equates to about 1.8 million. And the town would be responsible for financing the remaining 458,000. We're hoping to begin the wetlands delineation and site survey in the spring at the latest. And the design will be performed using a phased approach, which means we'll have submissions at the 30%, 60%, 90%, and 100% design stages. So the next public meeting will take place once preliminary design has been completed. And at that time, a detailed design will be presented to the community, and everyone will have an opportunity to review it and provide comment. If an in-person meeting isn't feasible due to COVID restrictions, we'll hold another virtual meeting. And we're anticipating construction getting underway in summer of 2022. With that, I can take any questions that you may have now. I'll also point out that there will be a 14-day comment and question period after this meeting. So if anyone views this presentation online and would like to submit a question or comment, they can contact Lorraine Beatty at the email address and phone number shown here. Let's see, do we have any questions coming in?
We don't have any questions by anybody outside of the participants here. I don't know if anybody on amongst our participants, if they want to ask any questions at this time.
And just to confirm, once the recording goes live tomorrow, they have 15 days. Well, tomorrow would be 14 days to opine. Is that correct?
Correct.
Mayor, that's going to be on the public works site and also on the town site, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do we need to give, I think everybody knows how to reach those two sites within the town.
Yep, and we'll post that on our social sites as well.
Yep.
Also do a press release tomorrow as well, so that people then can view this recording.
All right. Well, unless there's any other comments or questions, I think this concludes our public information session. I want to thank everybody for participating, you know, all the members of Beta. Mark Jewell, thank you for coming on tonight. Tammy, thank you for supporting us and sending us the information to keep us online. And again, if anybody has any questions, please contact Lorraine at the Public Works Department. Again, her email is listed here, lbeatty@newmilford.org, or call us at 860-355-6040. And again, thank you for everybody, and that concludes our meeting for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Jack.
Thank you.